Good afternoon. A very, very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining our Digital Alpine Conference. I am going to immediately hand the floor to the Action Group 5 focal point for digital transformation, Carlo Vigna, to provide some welcoming words. Please, Carlo, over to you.
Thank you, Alison. And good afternoon, welcome to this 2026 Digital Alps edition of the Digital Alps Conference here in Brussels. We're very pleased to bring this discussion to try to explore with you how digitalization can benefit from territories, in particular from local communities living in the mountain and the rural territories. Digital Alps Conference is an yearly event organized by Action Group 5, and we as Alpine Valley were very honored to be the Action Group 5. So we are very pleased to have our guests today to endorse this initiative. And also we have the honor that this event is part of the official program of Bavaria Residency 2026 of EUSALP. So thank you for the support, and also to be part as a side event of Mantro Vindema Strategy CDSI Days. So thank you to Digital Radio to host here also us today. Of course, we want to address this day to different levels, so to have some inspiring you on the future of the Alps, to discuss what would be maybe the future and digital policies. So you had also keynote and panel of this. And also to go to exchange Frafita contribute initiative, best practices that are ongoing in the apps. So I am very happy also to have the guide from Harrison Hunter for the day. Harrison will guide us to along this event. So I can help from my part. It's all. Thank you, Alison. I give you back.
Thank you very much, Carlo. So, we're going to launch our event straight away, and with this we have a video message coming from Mr. Eric Beißwenger, who is the Bavarian State Minister for European and International Affairs with Bavaria, who obviously also hold the 2026 EUSALP presidency. Can you please share Mr. Beißwenger's message to our audience? Thank you.
Dear representatives of the European institutions, dear partners and friends of EUSALP and the other macro-regional and sea basins perpetues. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to address you today at the Digital Alps Conference. Although I cannot be with you in person, I'm very pleased to send you my warm greetings by video message. This conference brings together people who are committed to shaping the digital future of the Alpine region in a practical, cooperative and forward-looking way. And it does so at exactly the right place, here in Brussels, where many of the key decisions for Europe's future are being prepared. The Bavarian EUSALP Presidency 2026 clearly focuses on economic space, innovation and digitalization. With these key priorities, we strive to keep the Alpine region competitive, resilient, and fit for the future. This year's EAC matches perfectly with this approach. My sincere thanks go to the EUSALP Action Group 5 and Alpine Valley region for organizing this excellent and well-established conference with such dedication and expertise. From Bavaria's perspective, one message is particularly important. Europe must become competitive again. We need clear, lean, and innovation-friendly approaches. Our regulations should provide clarity and reliability while remaining proportionate and practical. It's all about enabling innovation in the Alpine region and across Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a productive and inspiring Digital Alps Conference. I also hope to enjoy tonight's Q&A reception and the Bavarian representation here in Brussels. Bavaria is very pleased to have you there as our guests. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was, I think, a very clear message from Mr. Beißwenger about the pervasive role of digital in promoting the competitiveness and resilience of the Alpine region, and also how the work of Action Group 5 within the EU strategy for the Alpine region remains critical to this, adopting, as he said, a practical, cooperative and forward-looking approach. I'm looking out to the audience here and I'm seeing there's quite some gaps, and there's also people sitting away at the back. Please feel free to join us, move forward so we can be a little bit closer. And we don't intend for this to be a really stuffy, formal session this afternoon. We want it to be as interactive as possible. So please do feel free to come a little bit closer. I want to give a little bit of background information for our conference today. First of all, my name's Alison and I will be your event moderator. It's a great pleasure for me to be here, to support today's event and to be part of these proceedings. As has already been said, today represents the 2026 edition of the Digital Alps Conference, with a focus on strategic priorities of the Bavarian presidency and, of course, the work of Action Group 5 of the EU strategies of the Alpine area. I want to give a little bit more detail now before we get into our discussions about our agenda and timing. So, we're delighted to have you, of course, with us today until 6:30. Can we move to the slide with the first item for the agenda? Our agenda covers a range of important digital themes, and we're going to have with us today many political representatives, policy experts, and wider Alp stakeholders. And they're going to be shining a light on the continued importance of the digital agenda for the Alpine territory. We're going to start in just a moment with some keynote introductory speeches before moving to a digital policy panel discussion covering themes such as digital as an enabler of territorial cohesion, cross-border cooperation and coordination, as that's increasingly important role as a safety and security facilitator in the context, for example, of climate change. The panel discussion will also highlight the conditions that promote better embedding of a digital culture in the Alpine region. And on the next slide, after the coffee break, we are going to have 3 very dynamic sessions, providing key insights into a number of important digital projects that involve Alpine actors, territories and investments. And these projects are linked to the macro-regional strategy's core digital objectives. And these are digital transformation, digital infrastructures, and public value in data and AI. Delivering this session, we have what we are calling pictures and respondents. What does that mean? Well, the pictures are going to tell us about projects and their digital value, and respondents from the European Commission will reflect on how these projects align to wider EU ambitions, perhaps also offering some advice and guidance. We're then going to finish in the usual way with some conclusions and information about steps ahead. But before we dive into our agenda, we want to bring the conference straight to you by launching the first of 2 Slido questions. This one has already been launched, and from this, we want to generate a word cloud. The question is how to unlock the digital potential for the entire Alpine region. You can see the codes are on the screen. Questions there. We would ask, please take some time between now and the end of the panel session to respond to this first open text question. And as we come to the end of the panel session, we're going to ask panelists to react to what you shared with us through this generated word cloud. So that's the first question, and that is open now. Can we move to the next slide? Because this is an early warning of the second question that we will pose. The poll for this one isn't yet live, but just to have it on your radar. And this question is a graph-related one. Which theme will be the most influential in setting the digital direction for EUSALP? This second question forces you to make an option, perhaps unfairly, but it is based on the three themes that we're going to be talking about today that align to Action Group 5's three objectives. And we're going to launch that question just before the coffee break and ask you to respond before the end of the picture respondent session that I mentioned, the Future Ready Alps session. So please be ready to respond to this first question that was on the screen earlier before the end of the panel discussion, because the poll for that one is now open. I now want to move to our welcome speeches. And for our welcome speeches, I'm delighted to share with you, we have two speakers. We have, first of all, Mr. Leonardo Lotto, who is Regional Minister for European Affairs and Innovation, National Recovery and Resilience Plan, National Policies for Veterans and Youth Policies of Val d'Aoste Autonomous Region in Italy. Mr. Lotto, thank you very much for joining us. We also have Ms. Julie Thiran from the European Commission, DG REGIO, where she is team leader for Alps, Interreg, Interact and North Sea. Thank you very much, Julie, for joining us. A very warm welcome to both of you. Minister Lotto, over to you now for a 10-minute welcoming speech. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear guest, dear participant, dear all, dear partners. It's a great pleasure to have you here and a great welcome from Alps Valley region for this Digital Alps Conference 2026. It's a huge pleasure for us to have you here, and I think it will be a very ambitious and interesting conference for this year. This morning, I was doing a very similar speech for a very similar event between Italian regions, especially on the themes of AI. And I think that it's a very important point, because it means that being in a network, being in a team, working together is the key for success in this kind of field. The challenges that we have ahead are extremely big, are extremely complex, are extremely dangerous, and are vital for our living in autonomy, in security, and for our competitiveness. So if we want to win those challenges, we must have a network and be part of something bigger than our small regions. So that's why I'm so happy that EUSALP and the Action Group 5 are working all together to these big challenges. And as you saw in the question before, we have three pillars. We have data and AI, we have infrastructure, we have systems. And all these three pillars are the key for success. So we must work on that to have a great success. So it's just amazing, and I will deep dive in the second part about this. But the value of data and the value of infrastructure that we have ahead are simply so much important that we cannot just do it alone and do it everyone in its part. We must start share best practice. We must start share data. We must start share infrastructure too. And also, here we are a network that is not just a normal network, but is a network that shares something very strange in a way, very difficult also. So we share the mountains, the Alps, and look, when I was coming here, I had in the train. I was coming in a train, and I had in the train an old person that looked a lot my grandfather. My grandfather is not there anymore, but I remember when we were young that he was telling me how hard was the life in the mountains. Aosta Valley has very high mountains. As you know, we have almost all the 4,000 in Europe. So it is hard life in the mountains. It is cold, it is lonely. He was kind of a loner, so he was not too hard for him, but it was something very hard. Working the land is not the same as in other part of Italy or every other country. It is something very hard. And while I was in the train and I had this man in the front, I was thinking a lot about how things change in just 2 or 3 generations. How now my life is much simpler than he was. I can talk with my friends that are all around the world. I can work from home and working in Milan, working in Paris, in Brussels, wherever. I can use the new technologies that are done in San Francisco and I can use it in my laptop in real time. I can do all this stuff and still something is different between cities and mountains. Still, the life in the mountains is harder than in the cities. Still, we don't have all the services that we expect to have in a city. We are working in Aosta Valley a lot on smart sanity and on a hospital and how to reach hospitals from the mountains. It's something that is still not obvious. But I truly believe that innovation in this field can make life even better in the mountains and in the Alps. I firmly believe with the new innovation, we will bring back people to the Alps and to the mountains. In Aosta Valley, we have a huge problem of people that are going away. We don't have people living in the mountains anymore. We have people living in the small cities that we have in the valley, but we don't have people that are working in the mountains anymore. And I don't blame it. I wouldn't do that either. But we don't have to accept that. We still can bring these people that are going to the valley back in the mountains. And we can do that with innovation, bring it services to them. Also, I strongly believe that something is happening. The life in the cities is amazing. We were having lunch before and I was telling how beautiful it is to live in a big city and how I miss that. But there is also some factors that are making life in the cities a lot harder. Cities are becoming hotter. Cities are becoming less secure. Cities are becoming more difficult to live because of transportation. And so what I'm seeing is also that a lot of people are willing to go from cities back to the mountains. That's because of climate change, for sure, is the first reason. But not only, it's also because of this over-information situation that we have in the cities. All this workaholic mood that we have in the cities. Some people want to go back to a normal life where you have your work and then you have your free space and then you can go to the mountains and do some sports. And so this is a big opportunity for us. It means that we can bring back companies, we can bring back work, we can bring back economic growth in our countries and in our regions. And I think we cannot miss this opportunity. So that's why it's so important, this conference today. That's why it's so important, this action group today, because it's an opportunity that it's once in a life, and we are living it now. We have some time ahead to work on it, but we must be prepared when it comes. So thank you again. A special welcome also to the youth counselors that are here with us. Your participation it's extremely important for us, and the views that you will share with us will be extremely important. Welcome all, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Minister. Please, can I now turn to Ms. Thiran and ask you to take the floor? Thank you. Over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Well, okay. So as it was said, so I'm Julie Thiran, team leader in DG REGIO and the European Commission. And I'm very happy and very lucky because I say I have the best job in the world. Because I'm in charge of the Alpine strategy with a lot of partners, friends, family that are here, also new faces here. So it's always very, very nice to see the enthusiasm. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be here today. And thank you very much to all of you for being here today. I'm Belgian, so I'm happy to welcome you in Brussels, in a sunny Brussels. That makes it even more attractive. So we take care in my team, so I take care personally of the Alpine strategy. And in my team, we take care of 6 Interreg programs. So the Alpine space, the North Sea, Northwest, Interreg Europe, Interact in ESPON. So just to show you, we cover all 27 EU member states and more than that. So we cover, it's a huge geographical coverage with a lot of different issues, a lot of different opportunities. We also organize the major events like these days, the MAP regional strategies and sea-based strategies days that happened yesterday and today, and also the high-level group that happens 2 days ago. That was also a great success. So it is really a great pleasure for me to be here and to talk after State Minister Beißwenger and after Minister Lotto. Digitalization is a major topic. It's at the heart of the main challenges that we live today and in the future, of the mountains and everywhere. If you listen to all the conferences that we have for the 3rd day, digitalization is everywhere, and everything is linked to that. And as Minister Lotto said, this offers also a lot of opportunities to address some important challenges. Many important topics will be discussed today. Long-term vision of the Alpine area, digital transformation for cohesion and resilience in mountain regions, digital challenges and opportunities, and future-ready Alps. I would like to focus my remarks today because I was worrying that I got 10 minutes. So I have a little bit time to go a little bit deeper. But I will focus my presentation on 3 main points. This is also what I tell my colleagues when you speak in public, always 3 main points. So people can remember, and if they want more details, they can always come back to us. So first, the absolute unique value of cooperation. We all know that, and we are all convinced by that. This is why we are all here together today. It is something extremely strong. And this is also one of the values of European Union in European solidarity. This is quite unique what is happening here. A community of cooperation and innovation across borders and beyond. My second point will be the importance of capitalizing on successful pilot projects. So when we talk about projects, pilot projects, and so on, and the importance of capitalizing them. And again, the networking that we also mentioned many times during these days, this is really what will give us the power, will give us the opportunity to go beyond and to do the best for all our citizens, because this, in the end, is what we all work for. My third point is why territorial cooperation and long-term partnerships will be even more important in Europe's future for the resilience and cohesion in the years ahead. But first, let me start with a personal experience. Since 5 years, I'm in charge of the EU strategy for the Alpine Region and at DG REGIO. And since the start, I had the opportunity to discover something that goes far beyond funding, that goes far beyond money, that goes far beyond everything. It is a community. When we work together, we even speak about the Alpine family. So I think this is a strong word, the sense of belonging. I will also add trust. This is also what was just said by Merle, the moderator of the previous session. So we can talk about funding, we can talk about tools, we can talk about many things. But if we have the trust that is also built with nice lunch, that is also built with nice dinner tonight in the Bavarian representation here in Brussels. So this is very, very strong. So a community made of countries, regions, stakeholders that genuinely want to contribute to a more sustainable, greener future through cooperation across borders to tackle common challenges that, of course, go beyond borders and which are better managed together. A community working together on game-changing ideas to make the Alpine region a better place for all. You know, the Alpine region is about 50% of the European population. So this is about 18 million people. It is a lot. So it's a lot of people, and we can be also proud of it, because it means that when we do something, we do it for a very large community that really needs it. Projects working on climate change, thriving communities, biodiversity, energy efficiency, green and smart villages, to name just a few. And this is, in many ways, the essence of cooperation in macro-regional strategies, in Interreg and in other funds. Interreg brings people together across borders to jointly address challenges that one region cannot solve alone. But what strikes me the most is not only the quality of the projects, but the quality of the discussions, the genuine willingness to work together, especially at times now today, as cooperation is not always making the headlines. In today's context, where fragmentation and uncertainty often dominate public debates, it is inspiring to see regions and partners sitting around the same table, not only discussing common challenges, but actively working towards common solutions. This is also what was discussed yesterday at the workshops in the afternoon. Cooperation, Interreg and macro-region strategies are extraordinary instruments for developing innovative solutions to shared challenges, in particular in areas like digitalisation, connectivity, resilient infrastructure, and of course AI. Because digital challenges and opportunities also do not stop at borders. This brings me to my second point, the importance of capitalizing on successful projects and ensuring that their results continue and are expanded. This is discussed very regularly in the Interreg projects, in the monitoring committees, how to leverage and scale up existing project results and outputs. This is extremely important because we really believe, you know, that the budget of Interreg is much lower than the budget of ERDF and of cohesion policy in general. It's a very small part of it, but our power, our strength is that what we do is not, as I said, it's not only about money, it's not only about the amount that we receive, but it's really how we do it. And we are really an example even worldwide. I had the chance to accompany the First Lady of Costa Rica a few years ago, who came here to see how we do it in the European Union, how we do cooperation, and to try to find some inspiration to do something similar in South America. So we are really a source of inspiration worldwide, and we can really be proud of that. So yes, and if we have good projects, this can also be source of inspiration for replication in other regions and other countries, as we saw now what we discussed for the macro-regional strategies and sea-basin strategies. Of course, it has to be adapted to the specific situation, but a lot of challenges are similar, not exactly the same, not always in the same way. But if we talk about digitalization, if we talk about remote areas, if we talk about the right to stay, these are things that are quite common to many geographical areas. So cohesion policy funds account at the moment for about 1/3 of the overall EU budget, about 380 billion euros over 7 years. Interreg represents only 3%, about 10 billion euros over 7 years. But as I said, it is very important what we do with it. And about 1.8 billion, so about 20%, is allocated to digital-related investments. So as you know, it is really one of the main priorities. This covers support under priorities such as digital connectivity, digital public services, smart specialization and innovation ecosystems, SMEs digital uptake, skills for the digital transition. 3 digitalization projects financed by the Interreg Alpine Space Program over the period 2021-2027 that are especially relevant are Smart Community Project, aiming to support Alpine rural areas. So this is exactly what Minister Lotto also addressed. using all the benefits of digitalization, embracing smart transitions, and creating a functional transnational community within EUSALP Action Group 5, Smart Allis. Second project, Alp Satellites, managing the transition to hybrid work and satellite offices to revitalize remote mountain areas. Third project, Apollo, employs new approaches to enhance workers' well-being and work-life balance. This shows us something important. The scale and ambition of digitalization go far beyond the funding available within the Interreg framework alone. Making the link with the embedding workshop, the funding workshop that I co-animated yesterday morning with my dear colleagues, we said, it happened here yesterday morning, that is precisely why we always talk about embedding cooperation in other funding sources. So not using only the Interreg Alpine Space Program as funding source, but looking at other funding sources. We are very lucky because we have a lot of funding sources. We have, of course, European shared management funds, the national regional ERDF, ESF+, and let's see in the future how it will go with the NRPPs. But we have also, as you all know, European directly managed funds, Horizon, Life, Erasmus+, etc. Then you also have national regional funds which are non-EU, and of course also private funds that in the field of innovation is more and more developing as well. This leads directly to my third and final point, the importance of continuity and long-term cooperation for the future of Europe. It is important to build on long-standing and constructive partnerships that are already delivering results. We recognize that building and maintaining trust across borders requires both time and effort. But this trust is precisely what allows cooperation to become effective and transformational. This was also one of the key messages emerging from the Interreg stakeholder consultation carried out in 2024 and 2025. And this reflection becomes even more important in the context of the ongoing discussions now and its slowly, hopefully, concrete results of the cohesion policy after 2025. Future cohesion policy after 2027. Future cohesion policy is expected to align even more closely with EU priorities, competitiveness, security, preparedness, and resilience. Achieving those objectives will require strong and practical coordination, cooperation, and again, trust. And this is exactly where Interreg programs and other funding instruments can play a crucial role. In this context, the European Commission's proposal for the future Interreg programs is good news for three reasons. First of all, the current proposal of the Commission, the budget foreseen is about 10 billion in current prices, more than what we have had now in the period 21-27. Secondly, we maintain the existing architecture with 4 strands. So unchanged cross-border cooperation, transnational cooperation, interregional cooperation, and cooperation in autonomous regions. And mountains are backed in the Commission's legislative proposal. So this is also a very important achievement for us. So to conclude, I believe these 3 points are very important. First of all, cooperation matters. Trust, of course, achieve much more together than alone. Secondly, successful projects should not stop at pilot stage. There is a lot of strong capacity for capitalization. And third, resilience requires continuity and trust. Voilà. Thank you very much for listening to me today. And I wish you a very nice conference. I will give her a year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much to both of you. I like that message, particularly at the end. Mountains are back. I think that's something we're going to be returning to. Just before we go on, I wanted to pick up on a couple of these really important messages that have helped to set the scene for today's conference. Minister Lotto, you talked about the challenges being big and complex. You said mountain life is hard. And you also have to look to significant demographic change. But you pointed to the importance of services and the reach of services that comes through digital and through innovation, which then brings us into the attractiveness of place and quality of life, hugely important messages. And Ms. Thiran, you mentioned emphasising the added value of EU cooperation programmes that of course includes the EU's macro-regional strategies, supporting connections across borders, creating platforms for accessing wider funding sources, allowing territories to deepen their investments in cohesion and resilience. You also mentioned very importantly the importance of trust and investing in networks, investing in spaces to facilitate this trust. And you said today, over lunch, over coffee, that is also part of that trusting experience and why it's important to invest in this. And you also talked about project capitalization, leveraging, scaling for impact. And that, of course, includes digital priorities. I want to thank you both again for your very, very important introductions and really setting the scene for our keynotes that come next.